Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Prez, and I'm joined today by John. Hi, John. How's it going?
Good, Press. How you doing?
Hey, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Thanks for coming by. Today we're gonna explain uh, Batman 404 to 407, the first DCNFT's first merge and bind. So you'll need the four cores. So it's a bit, um, yeah, it's a bit complicated this one. So I needed some backup with John to actually help me explain what the lore is and why we need to be excited by this comic book and what we need to do and what's happening with the timescales and timelines. So we only have, as of recording this video, we only have a few hours left to actually make sure that this pack doesn't sell out. So if you're watching this early, congrats, you still have time to go to the market. So yeah, welcome, John. How's it going?
Very, very good. And like you said, I'm very excited about the drop that it's about to close the window for 404 and 405. That's going to lead into some really important and interesting mechanics that are really a first for this site.
Hmm.
I know we'll talk about it a little later, but more than happy to talk, not at length as people think of me to talk, but to talk about the importance of this comic and how exciting it is that it's on the site.
Awesome. So, John, talk to us about just just these
Oh, the individual.
four,
Sure.
yeah, these four comics. Yeah.
So Batman 404, 405, 406, and 407 together make up the limited series within the production run, the story arc, otherwise known as Batman Year One. So this came out in 1987. It was preceded by The Dark Knight Returns in 1986, which was a watershed moment in DC Comics for Batman in general, for comic books in general, because Frank Miller, who had previously been known for his work on Daredevil and Marvel Comics, came over to DC and blew the whole thing up with The Dark Knight Returns. It was just an amazing story. I hope we get that graphic novel and the storyline someday in DC3. But the following year, he did an origin story for Batman. And so, with Michelli as the artist, Frank Miller as the writer, used these four issues to retell the story of the origin of Batman. It was highly influential, it was highly important. It still resonates to this day. It's reproduced in art and language through narratives all the way to now. And so that's what 444, 546, and 407 represent, kind of complete picture of the origin of Batman.
Amazing. Wow. So we'll need for this one. So let's bring up the infographic by DC3 Wiki. So for this one, we'll actually need um, we'll need the four cores, right, for each of these drops. So um, it's funny, it's actually sitting way above at the moment in the market. So it's flicking between $15 to 20, but I expect it personally to go a bit, but like a bit crazy when people actually realize you need the four of them. So just gonna run through the timeline. So for the packs itself, you actually get either a core, an epic, or a legendary, which is a first in in this like pack. Usually in a pack you get five different variants, but this one you only get three. So let's just go and look at what you actually get quickly. So John, do you want to talk about the different rarities
Um,
that's in here? Yeah.
Usually, traditionally, people would think that the core is the worst of the bunch. And if you look at them as standalone comic books, you're not necessarily wrong, because the legendary will give you like a unique spread, promotional materials that are not available in core or epic. The epic will not give you the promo, but it will give you the spread. Yeah,
So
uh,
this is the spread that you get for the epic. Yeah.
that's and that is not available on the core. So just on its face, in terms of content, the core gives you the least. However, there's a reason why the core is doing so well in the secondary right now, and the reason is because you don't need the legendary to craft. You don't need the epic to craft. The only one that you need to craft is the core, and you need the core for each of these comic books.
Hmm.
All so for right now, in
Mhm.
the current utility window that is active, the most valuable utility wise is only one variant, and that is the core.
That is the core. Yeah. So it's funny when we talk about the value proposition of this particular pack, these packs. Mathematically 65%. Thanks to Jake for that. You are bound to it's bound to be over retail just because you either get a core or a legendary, which is like both of them are way above retail. Only right now is the Epic is suffering a bit, but hey, John, you had the thought about that as well, right? We don't know what's gonna happen after the sale finishes when people realize that the spread is actually unique to the Epic as well. So there might be a case for holding on to your legendary and not just letting go of it. You know.
Right. There's a content thing at play, which is the legendary has a spread and the promotional materials, and the legendary, of course, is going to be the rares. Yeah. So there you
Mm.
go.
No,
So
absolutely. We should talk about the 40 spotlight the 405 quickly. The legendary variant of that has got a pretty epic.
well, see, that is something that you cannot get with the core. So I think there is enough traction there where you see the floor like 3x currently, and I think it will always maintain that value because the legendary has this additional
Mm,
plus scarcity is king. So that always is not going to be touched whatsoever by anything that is currently happening as far as the utility is concerned. Now, the epic to a lesser part also holds that to be true, but right now
mm,
below mint, the reason why is because people are tossing that aside currently for like at least a week or a week or a half because focuses on the core. However, after the crafting windows are done and the dust settles, you might see the epic being a little better in terms of performance against the core, except for the fact that we just found out. Actually, Prez, I'll let you say it because you found out from Andrew Ward something interesting is going to be happening with those cores after crafting.
yeah, I actually found that from Discord, but just pop yourself over there. But yeah, the commons, sorry, the cores are gonna get burnt, so they will get taken from you. So all four of them. So yeah, I'll share the infographic. Yeah, for sure. You need all four of them to be able to yeah, to be able to do the next phase, which we'll explain in a bit. But yeah, so I think let's just go through quickly what the timelines are, and I think this one, the first one, if you watch this video, it might have been closed already, but I'm hoping that you would still, you know, remember to mint it, but because like I said, the first window, it's pretty cool that yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool that you have a shot at a legendary and the core, so 65%, to
And it's
actually, yeah.
correction. Let that be very clear. There's a bottleneck at play because you cannot just keep going back at it, right? One account,
Mm,
two shots at it. So if
mm.
you epic and you get a legendary, you have to go to the secondary to go get a core, and you're gonna have to buy it from somebody, right? If
Oh man, yeah, absolutely.
absolutely. So that is what is at play right now. The window is about to close. So if you did not max two, you might be in an uncomfortable position if you do not have at least in one of those two a core, because
Mm,
when it comes out and 406 and 407 come out, that's not going to be the bottleneck, right? I think more word is going to get out that you need these cores. So I
mm,
think people are going to be like, oh, okay. So now the bottleneck is the fact that only 300 people, now have in their possession a core number 405, say, hypothetically, right? But that
mm.
means only be 300 omnibuses ever in existence.
Well,
And
let's
it,
have a look. Let's have a look at the market quickly, because I think what's important to note is that people are catching on. So yeah, look, there's a race to dump the epics or whatever, and then get the well, actually, it's not too bad. It's starting to normalize, but we can see that the cores are chased at the moment. So if we have a look at the core numbers, so there's around 700 that's been opened,
okay.
um, and Yeah, 1055 is still wrapped. So I know that it says edition out of 1750, but that's not true per se, because that's going to be a lesser number once the pack minting closes. So if we're talking like, let's say, John, between now and a few hours time tomorrow, well, I'm gonna say a few, I think there's around 12, 13, but again, it doesn't matter. But let's say there's around 800 cores. That's the maximum that you can do, right? So
And
what are the odds of that? So if 700 times, if we just go 5% of that, there's 35 maximum.
legendary omnibuses.
Yeah, that's right. So there's gonna be 35, and that's the. By the way, the crafting result is gonna be a pack again. So that doesn't mean 35 will be opened. It
That's
just
right.
means
People.
35 is available. So,
That's
yeah,
correct. So the total that will hit the secondary guaranteed might be less than 35. That's the way to say it, right?
yeah, that's
And as
right.
you know,
Yeah,
a lot of people just never post on secondary. So you might see two on secondary ever in existence at any given time. And one of them might be a brag, right? So they'll put it up for $30 billion, right? So you might only have one legit dude who legit wants to sell his omnibus
yeah,
and he can name his price, right? So that's the kind of situation we're in right now when it comes to Batman Year One, Omnibus Legendary. That's
yeah,
exactly what it is.
yeah. So 406 and 407, as we see here, is available from April 18,
Yeah, those are not going to be
2020.
the bottleneck because people will panic and people will say, "Oh my God, I gotta get all four." And then if they do have a core, they're going to buy as many 4.6s and 4.7s to cover their cores, right? Because they're going to want as many shots as possible at that legendary, right? And
Mm.
so, like, the next week is not going to be the bottleneck. The bottleneck is right now, and people have not put the numbers together, which is the point of this video to get the word out,
Yeah,
and they kind of leave the cards lying where they are, which is like you said, only a certain number are going to, when the dust settles, actually be unwrapped from the pack and be ready to go for core crafting next week.
mm. Yeah. So after the 2 weeks is done, we're gonna have a solid week to actually do the merge and bind, which results in a pack. So
Right.
numbered packs anyway, and there's gonna be a lot of people that including myself, that we're gonna try and do this, and fingers crossed, we're gonna get one of the results, right? The common,
Right.
uncommon, rare, epic, and legendary. So if we just have a look at the candy post, it's pretty cool. So we can see, like, let's play it again. So the core is pretty cool. I just want to shout out the uncommon, actually, because it looks like a clean version. Um, that
Yeah,
doesn't.
they all are additions that I mean previous editions. I mean, and remember, it's been like decades, right, that this has come out. So there have been plenty of editions of this hardcover book, or softcover book, this omnibus. However, like you said, Prez, maybe not presented without the trade all over it, right? And
Hmm.
so this looks like a cleaner copy of the art that was under whatever it is, third printing or whatever printing this particular piece of art was.
Well, apparently that one was. Oh.
See,
Um,
that's the one that I grew up with, right? And this one as well, I saw it in the shelves. So, yes, all of these have been previously published. However, they may not have been published exactly identical to, like, if you go to Barnes and Noble and you pick one up, or you go to eBay and you pick up a previous printing of. The trade might differ, but the art is the same. That is correct.
yeah. So apparently the uncommon is. Let me see. Yeah, it's like a slipcase edition. Slipcase edition, and then the legendary. This is where the legendary was um inspired from. Let me just go grab it. There we go. Let's see my screen. So this one's looking like the first printing edition.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
which is going for like, well, this one's got 735, but yeah, it's
Well, that's because like omnibuses don't usually carry the same value as comic books. But the interesting thing to note is in DC3, uh, Web3 people tend to value first of something. So for instance, if you ever found the very first ever compendium ever done of a Batman story ever, believe me, it would be worth a lot of money. And in this instance, this is actually going to end up being the very first digital kind of graphic novel in DC 3, correct? Like,
Mm.
yeah, so for Batman. And so people will come for that just for that. I think they knew that, which is why they chose out of all the stories to share Batman Year One, right? So
Mm.
the origin story. So I think it was very smart of them to kind of be able to reset and understand the importance of what they wanted to present out there first as like kind of the first crafted omnibus under the DC3 imprint.
Hey man, thank you for joining. I just wanted to be this to be a nice and sweet quick video. I think it's a good idea to be picking up some cores right now until people catch on. I
I
think
you need to have, let's just say one more time, you need to have at least one of each of these comic books in core form in order to participate in the crafting for an omnibus of which there can be any one of those varieties popping out of your pack.
that's right. So yeah, so when people find out or when people realize, then it might get expensive if you need to craft everything the same day, especially like it is, as you said, it's the least amount of the 4 packs minted that's going to be possible for the actual event. Um so yeah, that's the bottleneck, so it's going to be interesting. Is
Yeah,
there
that's
any final thoughts that you have for this? I think it's pretty cool, it's pretty exciting. I think they've taken the multiverse edition and kind of ran with it. I think it's just new, right? It's complex, it's different.
yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a better mechanism than the multiverse mechanism that was presented previously. Honestly, the multiverse mechanism was a little wonky. It was a little difficult to get into. Jim Lee himself had to come here with a whiteboard and like tell you exactly what to do. It was jumping through too many hoops. This is very simple. This is like, okay, look, there are 4 comic books that make up the omnibus. So you
Hmm.
need to pick up 4 comic books. And if you want those 4 comic books to be stapled together, so to speak, well, we'll give you an opportunity to glue them together. And so that's a very simple concept. And then I think people will get along with it. However, it doesn't, and that's very public facing, right? That's very easy to onboard with that concept. However, like you said, Prez, in this video, there's many opportunities for collectors to find value in this because of the scarcity of what the final result might be, because again, the 2 per account being available right now, because the word hasn't gotten out right now, because you need all 4 of these in order to craft, and the fact that there's only 5% that are actually going to be a legendary omnibus at the end. So there's incentive for more seasoned collectors to also be excited about this particular rollout.
And there's no, at the end of the day, you'll have burned editions of 404, 405, 406, 407. The cores are going to get burned. The epics and the legendaries have, additional posters and something extra with it, and then you'll have a tiny bit of core left. So even afterwards they're thinking about like, what is it going to look like. It's looking pretty, I honestly, like, I think it's gone under the radar, but well done, guys. I think obviously in the sense where people go, well, like me, for example, I'm into 2 epics, so rip. But at the same time, you just don't know how the future provenance of these are going to be. What are people going to be like, okay, well, this was something new, it was nice, and it's got something a bit different, which this has. Obviously the legendary is the best because it's got 2 of the extra ones. um but I think DC3, people at DC and Candy are gonna improve some of these mechanisms over time, obviously based on feedback. So if you guys have any thoughts on how this went, let us know down in the comments below. And let us know. I do think that this is an evolving thing, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do next. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I think they're starting to run, right, John? I mean, we've
Yeah, I
been.
want to reiterate one more time, Prez, that there is only a few hours left in order to obtain 404 and 405 before they get into bottleneck status, which means that you will have to pay somebody on secondary in order to participate in this crafting, and you don't want to be placed in that position if you don't have to.
Last point, actually. Do you think this is the start of seeing more merchant binds? What's
I hope so, because like I said, like this came out in 1987, right? This is origin story. There's a lot of reasons probably why they chose this one, but I actually personally gravitate towards the one that came the year before, which is The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. He did the writing and the art. I would love to see that in omnibus format in DC3, and I love each individual comic as well because they have some iconic cover art for that I would like to keep even after crafting, even after getting an omnibus. I want to keep those individual comics because those arts are epic,
mm,
and they are truly something to want to keep in your personal collection, I think, going forward. So I would love to see that. I think they should keep going with this concept.
which is it Dark Knight Returns? You say?
Yes, The Dark Knight Returns from 1986 by Frank Miller. It is just gorgeous. It's beautiful. It basically was the breakout star for Frank Miller for his superstardom rise, and it is just a must-have. So I really hope that DC, if you're listening to DC, that is on your short list to place in the same system that you did for this year one rollout, which I highly approve of. I love the way that this is being handled right now.
So for me, it'd be really interesting if they did a merchant bind for the Legacy Kyle chapters 1 to 3. That's gonna be interesting for me. I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that. That is, don't forget our
Our
platform
physical
today.
is coming.
Yeah,
We voted
yeah.
for the comic book cover, but you're right. There's no digital omnibus planned as of yet. But that's a
As
good.
of yet.
I would go for that as well.
Oh, me too. Me too. Thank you for joining me, John. This has been fun.
Yeah, anytime.
Um,
I definitely should do it more often. But let me tell you, I don't do these very often.
no, I don't. No, I know you don't. But
It is a special thing for you and I to talk online, in person, face to face, so to speak.
yeah.
And I like something of this is of important enough for me to pop out of the shell and participate with you because this is a great thing that's happening right now at DC3 for sure.
Oh man, awesome. Yeah, let's keep the momentum.
Mm-hmm.
John, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Thanks,
Absolutely.
guys.
Will do. Take care, everyone.